Greetings everybody, and welcome to my channel and to this video which starts right now. In this video we're going to be reviewing a kitchen upgrade. You may have heard of the Instant Pot, or also known as the Instapot. I prefer the latter, and we're going to be taking a look at this product today. My wife recently purchased this, and I'm going to show you around, give you a little visual tour. We're also going to be making some recipes together, including hard-boiled eggs. We're also going to be making yogurt, one of the major perks of the Instapot. And big question, can it handle a completely frozen chicken breast? Just pop it in and walk away. And we'll cap it off with some rice and some beans, specifically refried. Now here it is. I will pop a link in the description below if you happen to like this and want to pick yourself up one. Check that out. But here is the product pretty much right out of the box. Seems to be wrapped really well. No damage, dents, dings, or anything like that. There is the box, and it's got this little insert, so everything's padded really well. Now let's get up close and personal a little bit. You can see got a really nice black finish, a black matte finish with stainless steel all around it. I think it looks really and feels really classy, which isn't necessarily the same situation with like our old crock pot, for example. This thing just has a little feel to it that is higher quality. Now the lid twists. You can see it rotate like that. It does not rotate any further or any less further than what you just saw. And when you plug it in and do it, it has this really cool little beep that tells you there's some electronic features in there that it's recognizing when the lid is closed. Now this is the recipe card that it comes with. Really convenient little thing here that tells you different cook times. But in this video, we're also going to be making the recipes that we use using this cookbook. And I'll again pop a link down below. This cookbook is specifically for Instapot recipes, and we also picked that up as well. So highly recommended there. I think Sarah Copeland is the author. But again, I'll pop a link down below. Now this is comes with a little tray you can see here specifically for hard boiling eggs or anything else that you don't actually want to touch the bottom of the removable stainless container that it comes with. So our first recipe, we'll be doing exactly that, hard boiling a dozen eggs. Now this is pretty cool. You can see we just put it in there and it takes about 5 minutes. Now that does not include the get to temperature time. So as the pressure builds when your lid is sealed, you have to wait several minutes for, you can see there, the temperature on the inside is indeed increasing. And watch this little pin. You see that little silver pin in the middle? Well, as soon as that pops up, the steam is going to stop, and basically that steam is pressing up against it, this little weighted pin in there. And that tells you, wait for it here, that will tell you that indeed temperature, your unit is at temperature and is fully pressurized. Until that point, the timer is not going to start. There we go. It just popped up. You can see the steam kind of stop there. So that gap is, that little hole is filled, and then your time will begin. This recipe calls for 5 minutes of pressurized, quote, boil time. We did put a little water in there as per the recipe, and we're just going to sit back and wait. Don't worry, you won't wait the full 5 minutes with me. We're going to cut the video here. There we go. And the time is up. Now to depressurize it, you can manually depressurize this Instapot, or you can just automatically let it do. Be careful if you are near cabinetry. It's not very hot to the touch. It's not going to do any damage, but that moisture will, of course, shoot up around your upper cabinets if you have it too close or happens to be underneath. You know, if you have like under cabinet lighting or something, definitely want to push that away as far as possible. So you could see there we manually depressurized it. Again, you can wait. It'll automatically depressurize if you don't do anything. But of course, it does take a lot longer to depressurize. Maybe 10 or 15, 20 minutes for it to depressurize automatically. All right, so here it is 5 minutes later and depressurized. Let's remove the eggs. And we're going to give them a little ice bath. This is, again, as per the recipe. We'll get all of them in here. And we're going to get them cooled off. They look pretty beautiful. One had cracked, we noticed, but everything else, all the other ones turned out really well. Now let's get more importantly, I don't know about you, but I really suffer from this idea that peeling an egg is really a hard thing. You've had the shell stick to the egg, of course, before, right? How frustrating is that? But notice how that just kind of slid right off. and let's cut into it there. Wow. What a beautiful color, completely done, a little bit on the mushy side, which we really like. But of course you could leave it in there for an extra minute or so if you want it completely, that yolk completely cooked all the way through. But we thought that was a perfect kind of integrity. Now let's move on to some rice. Could not be easier. This idea that you pre-measure water, rice, and literally close it up, set the little button here to pressurize, and then your time, and boom, you just walk away from it. And that's a really nice feature. Again, you don't have to be there and stand next to it. So if you're going to work or something, or you can just leave that in there all day long. It'll automatically depressurize like we talked about earlier. There's the manual depressurizing if you want to accelerate, get things transferred quicker. There it is. I think this recipe was 4 or 5 minutes or whatever you saw there. And we'll open it back up and look at that. Really nice looking rice. And that sure, to me, it really beats standing over the stovetop, making sure you don't, burn it or the water doesn't boil over or whatnot. Next up, we'll do some refried beans. This is right out of the recipe. And we're going to put some black beans in there, pre-measured, of course, and some water. And we're going to put a little, to make a little broth based, we're going to put this in here and some onions and some variety of other spices, whatever the recipe calls for, and you can certainly, do what you want. But notice how we're just kind of throwing everything in. Got some paprika, what is that, oregano, and I'm not even going to stir it up. I'm just going to literally leave it like that. Of course, you would have the option of stirring it up if you wanted to, but I'm going to test this baby out fully just to see what it is capable of. We'll go ahead and set it to the time. Now beans definitely take a little longer. We're going to increase it. The recipe calls for 45 minutes. So we'll set that and forget that. Various shot there while we're kind of waiting around. And the 45 minutes is complete. We'll depressurize it. And notice the little reservoir for moisture accumulation in the back. You can just take that little plastic thing out. That helps it from dripping on the countertop itself, which I think is a nice little feature and underappreciated feature. Here it is, opened up. Look at that, everything pretty much stirred automatically. The boiling or the temperature kind of moved those things around. This is the refried beans, not the most appetizing looking, but it certainly looks like refried beans, and I can promise you it tastes excellent. All right, now the big question here, can you just take a frozen piece of meat right out of the freezer and put it in here? This was a big question of mine. We've all stood around the microwave de-thawing things for 15 minutes, right? And then cooking it on the stovetop or grilling it or whatever, or just leaving it out on the countertop all day, right? So can we go directly from the freezer to the Instapot? Well, here it is. We're going to add some water and some spices as per the recipe, and we're just going to close the lid up, put it on pressure cook, and we're going to drop that time down. This was kind of astonishing to me. It took longer for it to cook the beans than it did a frozen piece of meat. This recipe calls for 14 minutes. So we'll let it sit for 14 minutes, depressurize, and let's open it up. After 14 minutes, let's take a look at this. Kind of steamy, and we'll go ahead and cook or cut into that. I cannot believe it actually cooked all the way through in 14 minutes. That is crazy to me. So definitely there's a convenience factor here. Highly recommended. It's juicy, it's moist. Look at all that water, that moisture. It has nowhere to go, right? It's basically trapped in there, so it retains all the juices. Now what we're going to be doing next, this particular model of the Instapot or Instant Pot, you can apparently make homemade yogurt with, which we've never done before. So this recipe calls for, we put some half and half and some whole milk in there, and that's pretty much it. You bring it to temperature. You have to let it boil for, or not boil, but to get to about 180 degrees, and then you pull it from the this is basically the yogurt function, so it does have a yogurt function. Drop the temperature back down to like 105, and then let it sit in the Instapot with the lid on the yogurt function. In other words, we brought that yogurt or that milk temperature up to a specific degree. We dropped it back down. We did add a little bit, 2 tablespoons of active yogurt culture, which is basically, Greek yogurt or any yogurt you have lying around. You can put in about 2 tablespoons, and that will activate the yogurt culture, and it will spread. And basically, voila, 8 hours later or overnight, you have yogurt. Of course, this is plain yogurt, unflavored yogurt. So we're going to reduce a little bit of maple syrup on the stovetop. You can also put in like honey or cinnamon or something delicious like that. And once it's reduced, you can pour it into the cooled yogurt and give it a good stir. And then you're going to refrigerate that for about 6 or so hours. Now, it does make Greek yogurt too. There's an option for that, but I haven't figured that out, or I haven't attempted to figure that out. We just started with the regular yogurt, but it can, if you strain things out, you're able to actually do Greek yogurt. So it's not exactly apples to apples. We're making regular yogurt. This, you just saw a shot of Greek yogurt, but you can get a sense for maybe the consistency and the variety of yogurt that you can make with this Instapot. It produces quite a bit of volume for a fraction of the cost. I think it was like a half a gallon of milk plus a little bit of a quarter of a cup of half and half, and 2 tablespoons of yogurt is pretty much all you're going to be dealing with to yield this much yogurt. So there's definitely a value there. Now, this yogurt claims to be stored. You can store it for up to 10 days in the refrigerator. Of course, you need to seal that up in airtight containers. And we're using a special type of Tupperware. Well, it's not special, but it's sealed, basically air sealed Tupperware. And I'll pop links down below for the Tupperware that I'm using here, or similar stuff if you're looking to upgrade at all. But this is basically it cooled 6 hours later. If you open up the lid, I'll just zoom in here so you can get an idea of the consistency. And it's basically not as sugary, which is a good thing, right? All that store-bought yogurt that you buy is going to be filled with with sugar. So there's definitely an advantage, a healthier advantage there. So overall, this is the Instapot. Highly recommended kitchen upgrade if you're thinking about a gift for somebody or whatnot. This is what it looks like and what it's capable of. And hopefully this video helps you make a good purchasing decision. For more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks.